As we are moving forward here today, we are watching for opportunities to talk about something that is important for those of you who have decided to be deliberate creators. Because the mix of you, meaning you in relationship to your inner being, and the mix of you, meaning you in relationship to the other people around you, you are much more receptive beings than you know. And you are communicating as people to people much more through vibration than you really know. You, in many ways, have been disguising yourselves, or thinking that you have been disguising yourselves from each other through your physical posture and presentation and words, disguising how you feel often behind your words. But there is a vibrational dialogue that is going on, that the law of attraction is always managing, that makes it not possible for you to hide what you're thinking, especially when you're thinking it in a strong way, meaning you've been thinking it for a while, so there is a lot of momentum going. So, for example, if you're not really very worthy feeling or proud of yourself, it really doesn't matter how you try to hide that insecurity with words or behavior. It's always part of the mix. And this is the part that we really want you to hear. Because you have not been calibrating to alignment with your inner being, meaning because you have not been, most of you, for most of your life, calibrating to feeling good. Instead, you've let others around you convince you that you're better off if you calibrate to pleasing them. You've become performers, so to speak, calibrators, so to speak, for the attention and approval of those around you. But the tricky part of that is the majority of those around you don't really know you. Most of those around you are strangers when you think about it. And most of those around you are not holding you as an object of attention with much tenderness or care. And those who have been holding you as their object of attention with tenderness and care are often not doing that from the upper half of the emotional scale, from contentment up to joy and appreciation and love. Most people who observe most people are doing it from the lower half of the emotional scale, that contentment down, so to speak. So, what are we saying to you? We're saying to you that you care too much about what the people around you think about you. But here's what we really want you to hear us say. If you're not calibrated to one thing, you'll pick up on the loudest vibration. Your inner being sees your value and knows unequivocally your worthiness. But someone around you, a long-standing friend or someone you just met, usually doesn't think those kinds of thoughts about you, and you pick up on them all the time because you are accustomed to calibrating to humans. We'll say it in a clearer way, and we're not wanting to be unkind to humans. You are leading edge creators, and you are of enormous value. But when you have become someone who consistently calibrates to the sloppy thinking humans around you, and by that we mean knee-jerking, by that we mean just responding with very little deliberate intent. Most people respond to you without calibrating first to the love of Source, who is who they really are. And so it's no wonder so many of you are running around feeling insecure and not really liking yourself, because those around you very rarely take the time to focus themselves into love before they hold you as their object of attention. Esther likes so much being in traffic, slow-moving traffic, and looking over to the vehicle next to her or just ahead of her and seeing a dog who is sometimes hanging its head out the window. Yesterday, one was holding most of his own body out the window, just enjoying the day so much. And it's so interesting how almost immediately, as Esther notices the dog notices her. So what we're suggesting to all of you is that if you're going to notice someone, you get into a place of feeling as much appreciation and positive expectation about them as you can. Because why would you want to draw someone in to any negative thought that you have about them? And just as important, why would you want to be drawn in to any negative thought that someone has about you? And the most significant thing that we want to say to you is that what they think about you isn't your business anyway. Because what they think about you is their business, because what they think about you is more about their trending of thinking than it is about you. It's more about the way life has touched them. It's more about the way they feel about themselves. It is all about their relationship with their own inner being. And friends, most humans don't have a deliberate relationship with their own inner being. They have calibrated to humans around. Now we know you want to ask, some of you are shouting, well, what's going on? Why would we subject ourselves to this? Why would we come into a physical experience not remembering who we are and not remembering where we came from and not remembering our relationship with our inner being? And we say, you came with something even better. You came with an emotional guidance system that lets you know by the way you feel when you are in blended bliss with your inner being and when you're not. And we know it helps when someone like us comes along and explains to you the laws of the universe and reacquaints you with the existence of your own inner being and teaches you in as many ways as we can think of how you might calibrate to that. But we've been visiting with a lot of you for a long time. Someone wrote in, I've been with you for 20 years. Someone else, I've been listening to you for 16 years. In other words, a lot of you have been listening to all of these broadcasts since the beginning in March of 2020. That's quite a long time that we've been consistently having these conversations. And yet, still, so many calibrate to what you're witnessing and observing, whether it feels good to you or not. So many of you would rather be right than feel good, that you debate and consider and try to weigh all of the pros and the cons and the pluses and the minuses. You open and close, wanted and unwanted doors all over the place, as if there were no rhyme nor reason to the way the laws of the universe work. But there is a really easy to understand reasoning to the way the laws of the universe work. You get what you give your attention to, whether you want it or not. It really is just that simple. And it even gets better. You can tell by the way you feel whether what you're giving your attention to is something that you really want, something that you've put into your vortex, something that you've synthesized through life, knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want, launching the rockets of desires. You've been carving out very specific desires, just like you intended to do when you came into this physical body. You've been identifying and establishing what you want and who you are, and your inner being has been following the pathways of those desires that you've carved out. But when you in your human form observe others in their human form and spend most of your time comparing all the human forms and human ideas and all the rights and wrongs, you put yourselves in a position of attracting so much that you have not chosen deliberately by your attention to it, by choosing by default. So we're really saying the laws of this universe of which we are all a part, whether we are non-physically focused or physically focused as you are, the laws of this universe are consistent and easy to understand. And if you are not getting something that you want, it is for one reason only. You're focused in opposition to it more than you're focused upon what you want. You're talking more about what's going wrong than you are talking about what's going right. The law of attraction is not making you an exception. Some of you wrote in with some concern. Someone said, Abraham, sometimes you feel really loving and tender and compassionate, and sometimes you're more to the point and more harsh. They didn't say schizophrenic, but that's sort of what they meant. And we want to say to you that we are always factoring your question and your ability to hear it with everything that we say. We are always speaking to you from your vantage point of what you want and your relationship to it. So our overall, overarching, underlying message that we want to begin with to give to all of you, and we want to say it in enough ways that maybe you can hear it now. Everything that you want is possible. No exceptions. Your inner being knows it. Your inner being knows what you want and knows your worthiness, your rightfulness to receive it. And the emotions that you feel let you know moment by moment whether you're opening or closing a door to something wanted, or whether you're opening or closing a door to something unwanted. When you feel good, you're moving toward what you want, and the door is open. When you feel bad, you're either moving toward something you don't want, or the door to what you do want is closed. Does that make sense? It isn't complicated. How you feel is your indicator, you see.